Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death.
Where were we? Leon is headed on the East Road.
Yes, he is.
I feel like we had something to pick up with after the break, but now I'm drawing a blank. Can you remind me what's going on? What's going through your head?
I've healed up, and I'm about to head out on the road, and that's where was a good stopping point after I stopped in that village with the Lamplight Inn. I'm just total Ryan. By the way, I'm stealing that name. I will use it later, so you know.
It's cool. Even if I wasn't okay with it, you'd still reuse the name and confuse everyone by,
Yep. Half the reason I play Dicing with Death is just to take the names that you come up with and use them for my own purposes.
The worst. All right, so you heal up in so after your little battle with the bounty hunters, common brigands, right?
Common bounty hunting brigands.
You rested up in this small town, in the chapel. Heal up and are on your way on the road, pilgrim.
Road again? Something I don't know the rest of the words again.
Please just stop singing. Headed east. I think I will have you roll a perception check.
I continue pushing myself down the road, making a perception check with no modifiers, and it's a natural 28. Or I guess it's an adjusted 28. It's a 28. It's all said and done, which is another pass.
All right. You are unaccosted on the highway. There are fellow travelers, but I think we steer clear of any interesting encounters. With that perception, you do notice sort of a sign.
Sign that my arm's going to be healed? Arm healing this way? Take a left?
Perhaps that is how you interpret it. Yeah, it's a small, old wooden sign that you might have missed. But you got a good eye. Pointing to, it says to Abbey, and it's got like an arrow point and like a small little trail cuts off this main road.
Don't know anyone south. Named Abbey.
Oh my god.
Does it say anything else? Any other type of Abbey? I know there's other, polytheists around here. Is this a polytheist abbey? Or is this the Abbey of the Lord of Light? The Lady of Fire, is it?
What's the difference between an abbey and a monastery? That's what I was trying to figure out.
Good question.
I think it says monastery. Yeah,
it says monastery. Is a bigger community of either monks or nuns.
Yeah, it says monastery, for sure.
Okay.
Maybe there's some linguistic translation going on here. I don't know. From common to English, it doesn't quite make sense.
Why is the house that they live in Downton Abbey, why is that an abbey when they're
I don't think it is. Maybe it's an old abbey or something. Like it was once an abbey and now it's... I don't know. I've never seen Downton Abbey.
You're missing out. For realsies. I'm not even joking. That's some good historical shit there.
I've heard maybe someday when I've got a month to waste watching TV.
You just need to go to Australia again so you can waste a month watching TV.
For those not understanding, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. They don't need to be filled in on your references. Yeah. So you can, by now you can actually smell salt air. Forgot to describe that. Maybe mixed with something musky.
Well, I'll poke over to this monastery because at worst, they'll just have some information for me about where I am.
No, this is pretty clearly. Right, where you think you're going. Right, you were headed east to a monastery, were you not?
I was headed east until I could take a boat across the canal and get to Brinton, and then head to a monastery north of that, I believe, to go to the hot springs. So this isn't my destination.
Roll a, I don't know. You can roll a check or something, or I don't know.
Intelligence check, 32.
I think that's enough to know that you're kind of you don't know exactly where you're headed, right?
Right. That's why I want to go to the
Clearly.
Abbey, is to get some information about where I'm going.
Sure, but this is probably this has got to be it, right? There's a monastery here. This is generally the direction you were expecting to go.
Yeah, but I thought I had to cross the canal to get to the hot spring.
Yeah, so I think Leon sort of stopped here looking at the sign. Well, I thought I had to cross the canal, and well, maybe not. Who said I had to cross the canal? So you're scratching your head, not necessarily.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll head on over towards
maybe you added that little bit about it being you're not sure.
Okay. Well, I go there. I go to the monastery.
All right, so you follow this small trail off the main road. And do we have any background music, or am I just not in the right?
There is background music playing. It's gentle. It's very light.
Did you just start at this very instant or something?
No, it's windswept plains. It's like wind and stuff. Maybe you need to turn up my volume on Discord.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I assume that. No. Okay. Whatever. I assume chat would be ranting and raving if we had the audio messed up.
That's all good. It's all good.
But you're definitely not in a windswept plain. You head up the small trail, and the ground quickly gets boggy. I'd say, like waterlogged and difficult to travel in, and you're pushing through thickets, and it's clearly like an overgrown trail. Like I said, like you almost didn't spot the sign. And this trail has clearly not been traveled in some time. So the going is going to get thick. By now, it's probably 15 minutes in, I guess. I mean, you start off and it's like this small trail with overgrown grasses, and then you're pushing through thickets, and your boot sinks into the ground, and you're about 15 minutes from the main road. There's obviously no one around. Yeah, it smells like rotting bog. Like
probably
like
swords in these bogs and ancient Viking gold all in these bogs. But that's for another character to discover.
I know I'm not following the reference, but yeah, there's.
Oh, people are always digging things out of like bogs in northern Europe and in England and Scotland. Someone just pulled like some, 500-year-old longsword out of a bog.
Yeah, some D&D adventure wandered into a bog and died. Left a sword there. So what's Leon's plan? So I think you're having that random discussion that you just had with the DM about, am I going the right way? What's this abbey supposed to be? So as you're slogging through this is there bog.
A visible trail through this bog?
You have lost it. That's why I'm bringing this to your attention. You are in wilderness. You saw the sign for the monastery and sort of followed this old trail as far as you could follow it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, tell me your approach. Like, you could do something like rolling a tracking check to try and track the old trail. Maybe you're already following it and then it's just gone.
Well, my tracking check would be at like minus. I'm not a ranger, so -6.
Yeah,
I'm not proficient, so -4 or 5.
You do that off rolling a charisma check and asking for directions.
Right. So that's clearly not going to work. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think Leon is going to like find a dry spot and rest and wait until nightfall, and then look for the lights that would be coming from the abbey at night. And use that to guide him there.
I mean, it's still it's probably getting on towards afternoon. by the time you pulled off the main road.
So it's not
so
even
night-
like noon yet.
It's afternoon, so it's probably a couple of hours before nightfall. I don't know why you'd expect. Oh, yeah, I mean, you're thinking because it'd be an abbey to the Lord of Flame that there would be a
I mean,
torch
first
lit
off,
at night.
there's probably going to be lights on because people are doing things, but then also like Abbey to the Lord of Flame, they've always had those rooms with the lights, and I kind of would figure, you can see civilization from a distance via the lights they have, and if it comes to night and there's any lights on in the Abbey, it should show up as like a little spotlight, like you can see headlights on a car on a mountain, even if the mountain's like 30 miles away. If the
It's a good plan, but it's a couple of hours till sundown.
That's fine.
So what are you going to do between now and then?
I'm gonna sit down, kind of in this find a dry spot in the bog if I can. Sit down and peruse my spell book and try and fucking make sense of this read magic spell that I still can't make sense of.
Okay. Mechanically, there's nothing I can do for you, but thematically, you can fill in your downtime by staring at indecipherable runes.
Yes.
You could... Yeah, you haven't really set up. You need like a library, don't you, to research spells?
Yes. And I would need... I would doubt there's enough enough books that I could find to fill a library on this island that is, so anti-magic. So that'll have to be found somewhere else. Maybe not.
Maybe, certainly because you've don't get along well with others, and you kind of have to enjoy the benefits of civilization.
Yeah.
There would be libraries in cities, but whether they'd welcome you there.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently you assume not.
So
we pass some hours until nightfall. Do you light a fire or anything?
No, I want to be able to see their light as soon as it comes up. So once it starts getting dark, I'll start packing up my stuff and looking around for lights.
Let's see what we've got here. I've got to interpret what this means. And by that, I mean pull the encounter that I just rolled up out of my ass. You can entertain us with Leon's musing while you take this break, and I figure out how to ambush you. You can why don't you set the scene?
All right, so Leon is sitting in here in the bog. The sun is going down, so he's like packing up his stuff and looking around for some sign of light from the Abbey. He knows roughly which way he was headed, so he starts looking in that direction for any sign of light or civilization. Boots are pretty dirty. He's generally kind of dirty because he's been traveling. The fish smell has hopefully worn off since it's been a few days. Looking for the bubbling pools. Yeah. I guess he's just gonna start heading out as soon as he sees any sign of civilization, like this light. If it shows up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's figure out if you were surprised. All right, so you have camped out in this bog all afternoon. And as... Yeah. You probably got the I mean, it's a creepy bog. You're only like 15 minutes from the road, but you feel pretty alone out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all afternoon you're sort of feeling like there's, the sense of being stared at, right? Like you're being watched, or you think you see like movement, but it's just like a bird or some other creature.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually you get over the stench. But as you are getting up to leave, you like pack up your Did you have your book out? I guess you like fold your book out, put it in your back, stand to go to back away, and you like turn into what are the name of like thick bog plants? Like a
reeds.
No, not. It's some vegetation that wasn't there before, and you find yourself totally snagged in it, and I think taking some damage.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
How much damage do I take from the snagging bogs?
The snagging bogs do... Fortunately, only 3 damage. But you find yourself just grappled with...
Fucking hell, this plant
with
could have killed a man!
This plant... you find yourself feeling quite lucky that it didn't, looking up at the towering bulk.
Fuck this shit, I'm casting Fist of Stone. I'm gonna rip this plant out by its roots with my stony fist and hurl it into the bog for all eternity. Piece of shit thinks it's gonna trap me and cause me damage. Leon has not come that far in his life. He's much more willing to destroy this plant.
Okay, so looking up at it, you almost think you can make out a face in the... rotting mound. You can roll for initiative, but I don't know if this like changes your perception of things.
There's a face in the ball. I mean, I'm still casting Fist of Stone.
Yeah.
D10 plus 1, just in case you need initiative for some reason.
I do need initiative. Do you back away?
No, I'm standing right next to this plant, casting Fist of Stone with the intent to, like, rip it out. These eyes in the bog, are they next to this plant? Are they adjacent to me? Or are they, like, in...
You are staring down... You're staring up at a humanoid face in this rotting bog plant that you've just, like, collided with, and,
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Uh-oh, this is a little bit different than I had imagined in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was asking, if you want to change your actions to GTFO.
No.
Yeah.
Leon is not defeated by a plant. Leon's a human being. He is better than a plant. He'll make the plant pay.
I don't think you are. How does Leon get out of this one?
Do I go first?
You do not go first. Okay. I think I want to DM hacks this encounter and just leave it out of the YouTube VODs. I think I'm gonna have Leon turns tail and runs, despite his intentions to do the otherwise. You don't cast a spell; you flee. This monster is way too strong for you. I guess I could have changed the stats behind the screen, but why don't kill the combat music? We'll DM hacks our way out of this one. No. The shambling mound would have choked you to death in seconds. That was I didn't know what I put on my table. They're slow, so I will by a stroke of divine intervention, the Lady of Light grants you an epiphany, and you know that it would be best to run away from this giant towering plant, or we can just pretend that this didn't happen and like re-record another third segment for YouTube. How do you want to handle some blatant DM hacks?
It's up to the DM. It would be awkward to re-record something.
Yeah. No, I think let's it disappears into the jungle, leaving you scarred and frightened.
Yeah, okay.
That the bog is alive.
This doesn't seem like a very holy place, Leon thinks to himself. Maybe I should light a torch if I'm going to be walking around in the dark in the bog while I wait for this sign of light. So after escaping the bog monster, somehow, Leon lights his torch awkwardly. I don't know how you use flint and steel with one hand. Maybe I've got to like hold it between my knees or something. But I'll try and get my torch lit.
Yeah, I think you find yourself exasperatedly running back onto the road.
Okay.
I will still that 3 damage you took is still sustained. I don't know, running through thorns or whatever, what have you. Leaving Leon with the impression that the bog is alive. I think you'll make your way back to the path, which is just, it's only 10 minutes or so from where you were heading out for the day. But back to the path, just so you've got a clearing to work in.
Okay.
Boots soggy and torn by thorns. Wondering if the swamp is alive, you can light this torch on the road.
All right. Forget this monastery. I'm just going to keep heading down the road then. Monastery's surrounded by bog monsters, and no, I want to go to the other one on the other island anyway. Fuck this monastery, and I keep heading down the road. Someone told me it would take like a week to get to Brinton anyway, so I can't be anywhere near the coast. But you did tell me I smell salt air, but maybe that's just the bog air. I don't know. Leon keeps going down the road at night by himself.
All right. Leon heads east down the road. Eventually the road goes up to some cliffs that you can't see beyond because it's dark and you only have as far as your torchlight. And then the road hooks to your right.
Okay.
And travels along this cliff. You feel like you might have some sort of view if there were sun.
Well, yeah, it's
but here in the dark, you've got this road.
So I want to stop.
Traveling along the cliffside.
Is this cliff sheer or is it like angled?
It's pretty sheer here, at least. Like you look off it, and it's a pretty clear drop down.
Cool.
30 or so feet, and then it like fades into dim light. Where
I want to set my torch against something so it's not like gonna fall and go out. Like, if I gotta dig a little hole with my elbow and then stick it in there, that's fine. I'll find some way to like secure the torch. And then I want to find a rock, the biggest rock I can lift with one hand, and toss it off the edge of the cliff. Give it like a good chuck as far as I can. The biggest rock that I can find and lift, throw it off.
I don't know that the size matters, but you can spend a minute or two looking for the biggest rock that you can find. Yeah. Are you trying to determine the height of this cliff?
I'm trying to determine if below me is ocean, if there's a splash down there or not.
Yeah, if you throw it far enough, you'll hear a splash. There's water below.
Leon nods to himself.
Yeah, you assume this is the channel that divides the islands.
Okay. Well then, the road headed right, so I should be headed south. Should be. God knows if the road was going due east the entire way. But if it was, then I should be headed southish now. So I'll keep following along the road after picking up my light and hope to run into civilization eventually.
Okay. The air smells salty instead of boggy. So you figure you've made your way out of the swamp. Mm-hmm. And you travel through the night. I guess you can pull one all-nighter without rolling anything, but it's not. You're exhausted as you journey a good ways through the night. It doesn't take all night to get to your first signs of civilization, but I think the not knowing how far the next town is probably makes it more difficult. But sometime in the middle of the night, the road sort of curves back to the left, and you see a structure before you at the edge of your torchlight. It looks like a tall wooden tower, perhaps.
Okay.
And then looking at its base, there's a collection of carts and supplies and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. There's no light on in the tower, though.
There are some firelights around. Yeah, you would be able to see that, like campfires.
Okay, so I would have seen that from a distance as I was showing up.
I think you get them for the first time, probably off on the other. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will approach.
This
tower and look for human activity.
Yeah, there are small campfires around the base on this side and across. You can see more campfires across the way, across a gaping chasm that you assume must be some sort of like canyon or something. And it turns out like beyond this tower is a large wooden bridge that spans the gap.
How can I get a gauge on the distance from me to the fires across the way? Are we talking miles or hundreds
of feet?
Okay. Okay.
So before you is a great wooden bridge, and camps of merchants and whatnot are gathered around on either side.
All right, I will kind of stop near a gathering that looks maybe a little bit more friendly. See if I can hear anyone that's like having a good time or relaxing, or someone that looks like they're more open to conversation. If there's 4 groups in front of me, I'll pick that one. And then I'll walk
I think at this hour,
approach.
Most people are asleep. There's probably a few like still sitting by their fires, sipping from flasks and trading hushed stories by starlight.
Sure, I'll approach one of these groups, and in a low voice say, "Is this the bridge to Brinton?"
An old drunk nods. I
give him a friendly wave, and then I'm gonna go make camp by myself. And by make camp, I mean just like sit down and eat my food, because I don't have any like sleeping outside equipment.
Okay. All right. You curl up and fall asleep. I don't think there's anything about you that would make you a target to robbers or cut purses. I mean, you're in your shabby monk's robes.
Right.
You look like a hobo, so you're left more or less alone. And several hours later, the sun rises. There's a crowing of a rooster in the distance and a hullabaloo of what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Commerce. The wagons get moving, get on their way. Camps break down, and
I'll find a wagon cart and offer to pay them a little bit of cash to just ride on their wagon with them. For company and to save my feet.
Roll a charisma check.
Go 25. Oh my god.
Sure. If you shell out a couple of copper, say 3 to 5 copper, you're able to flag down a wagon heading east.
I will shell
you probably walk across the wooden bridge, and meet up with a cart on the other side, continuing on to Brinton.
Yep.
You are eyed by guards, but they don't ask you any questions. You walk across alone and non-threateningly.
Yep. I'm probably just on the back of a cart as we go across. I say nothing.
Sure, we can do that. You could have found someone breaking down camp on this side of the span.
Yeah.
So then the guards do pause and ask them. There's a fee exchanged for transporting the cart across, like a tax.
Right, makes sense.
For entering the kingdom. I guess like the kingdom is still like does the Queen of England still have a? She's not like the queen of any like county seat, right? She's just like the queen of everything.
Well, yeah, she's the whole queen of the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Her husband, her consort, is the Duke of something or other.
Duke of Edinburgh, right?
Yeah. I don't know how big his duchy is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that covers all of Scotland or just like a large portion of it. And I don't know why he's the Duke of Edinburgh if he's English.
Because it's the United Kingdom's name and everything. But this is irrelevant. This is this is not important to our fantasy world. And Leon doesn't have a heraldry proficiency or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the cart is taxed for entering some new zone, and you chug along for the ride. I don't have a good looking castle for us to take a look at. But let's see.
Okay. So I want to take this back. The Duke of Edinburgh doesn't actually, it's just a title. There's no proper like duchy that goes with it. And it's not a typical title that has passed from like consort to consort. It's actually only been awarded 4 times. It's like 1726.
Interesting.
So it's just kind of like, you need a title. Why don't we call you the Duke of Edinburgh? Huh? How's that sound? And he's like, sure. And then that was that.
Cool. Well, you have more or less arrived at Brinton. I don't really have this castle that well planned out, but maybe you can tell me what you're planning on doing here. So you cross the bridge and you find yourself within the holdings of like the castles. No, like farmland.
Right. Okay.
And the outlying farmlands that support the castle of Brinton, which is a massive stone-walled.
Yeah, I'm
castle.
staying the frick
Stone
away
walled
from
city.
the castle. I want to actually take a look. I want to hop off in the town, in like one of the little village squares.
There's not really there's a large walled city, which is the final destination of this cart probably, and many of the travelers, and plenty of farmland between here and there. Now that we are in sunlight, so the bridge spans more or less a large canal, I guess you had heard it called, a waterway that's only a couple hundred feet wide. But looking, does Leon have a direction sense proficiency?
Nope.
Okay. Looking some direction, you do see like open, like a channel, and then like open sea beyond from the looks of it. You can see the dense bogs on the other side, leading up into a mountain range. And then I think atop a large vantage overlooking this channel and a port sort of down below is the walled castle of Brinton. Probably the largest, certainly the largest construction you've seen. Even more impressive than Seagate, at least in terms of size.
Well, Leon wants to stay away from there, so he's going to hop off the turnip truck and look for a peasant. Any random person who lives in this area. If they're working their fields or hanging out with their animals or, just spitting on the side of the road. I'm going to find me a peasant. Pleb, and go speak with them.
The peasant can be found. You can even ask the peasant driving this turnip cart.
No, I don't want to talk to this peasant. I asked one of these other guys, which way to the Bubbling Pools Abbey?
The Bubbling Pools Abbey.
Yes.
He doth not know. Are you an abbot? He looks to your robes.
I shake my head. Merely a pilgrim on the way to the Bubbling Pools.
What's at the Bubbling Pools?
Why, that's where the Lord of Light first stepped down upon the world and brought fire to the people. His temperature, his fire still bubbles the pools to this day.
I think you got it backwards. The Lord's brought down the flame. And I think it's the Lady of Light?
The Lord of Light, the Lady of the Flames. No, the Lord of Flame, the Lady of Light. Look, the gods, it's a duality, man. The god came down on that spot. Whether
What's
it was
a duality? I think you've got a lot more studying to do before you become a monk.
Well, I clearly need this pilgrimage to sort some details out. Now, which way to the goddamn pools?
He doesn't know what the pools are. You can roll a charisma check to find a peasant that has heard of the pools.
Leon's patience is wearing thin on these people. He's not quite the humble priest that he pretends to be.
You ask a few other peasants, and it goes much the same. None have heard of the Bubbling Brook, the Bubbling Pools.
What the fuck? Is Pyre just a lying son of a bitch? All right, I'll go into this goddamn town. Let's sort it out.
Oh, you mean you head into the castle?
Yeah, I'll head into the castle. We'll sort this shit out.
Okay. So in the late morning light, you trek up the hill to the walled city of Brinton. There are guards, but the gate is open. And you step inside the security of the wall and find yourself... What do you find? What are you looking for? You're in a castle. We can do all the things you can do in a castle. We can find you a tavern and give it a cool name.
I would rather find a weapon shop, or a monastery, or a temple, or an abbey, or a nunnery, or some order of people to the God of Flame.
Absolutely. There's you're sure there's got to be a great cathedral here, but the first one you find is like a public cathedral within the wall. But you can head there.
All right. I will head to the cathedral.
Yeah, this towers massively overhead. A looming spire over stained glass windows in the ladies' antechamber. You are greeted by torchbearers as you enter this majestic cathedral.
Okay. Well, I look to the torchbearers, put my hands on my hips and say, do you know where the Bubbling Pools are?
The Bubbling Pools. You mean the monastery?
Yes.
Yes.
Could you direct me there, please?
I could, but if you're looking for the whiskey, any old tavern here ought to have it.
Excuse me? I'm not looking for a whiskey, I'm looking for the bubbling pools themselves.
Sure then.
Excuse me, what do you think the bubbling pools are exactly?
Where did you stop this torchbearer? Are they inside the antechamber? Are you in the inner sanctum?
I think I'm just in the antechamber.
Okay. Sort of off to the side of the door, letting traffic go to and fro. You have this short conversation. The bubbling pools. It's a monastery, tucked up in the hills. He sort of looks shiftily side to side. Roll a charisma check.
Close,
it's
but
enough
no
to
cigar.
it's enough to tell that they're withholding something from you, but you're not sure what it is.
Bubbling pools, good. Can you point me? Can you give me directions to get there? I'm on my way to make a pilgrimage. I say, kind of gesturing to my robes and also to my one loose sleeve that's just dangling, empty like.
Sure, pilgrim. She said, not necessarily with that tone. He says, not necessarily, not that tone, but sarcastically, maybe the word. I don't know. Yeah. If you travel west on the road, there's a small trail that heads through the bog to the bubbling pools.
It's on the other island, you mean? It's on the other side of the channel.
He tilts his head side to side. It is up the mountains betwixt the two isles. There may in fact be a back route in.
Wait, they are on the mountains in between two islands? I'm very confused, young man. Could you please... Do you have a moment to explain to me how this place is situated? Because I'm very confused.
I must apologize, Pilgrim. I have duties. And they will take their leave unless you do something
No,
else.
that's fine. I just don't... I'll go talk to someone higher up, maybe. I'll try and find a priest, a pyre or something, and sort out where the bubbling pools are.
Sure, there's a pyre, but I don't know that they'll help you unless you. I mean, what are you doing? Are you like?
I don't know. I'm asking for directions to a holy site. I kind of thought that would be something that people would be willing to that would be easy information to get. From
it's turning out not so. I mean, so what do you tell you
I ask a person that looks like a priest or something where the bubbling pools are, just straight up.
I think you don't get it. I mean, we can keep role playing, I guess, if you like. I mean, you fit, yeah. You don't get, yeah. So do you want to you want to grab another? I mean, what?
Okay, so the priests here don't want to tell me where the bubbling pools are, or won't tell me.
No, I mean, you fail your charisma check. They gave you vague directions, and they don't stop to draw you a map. You can try to role play harder or come up with a different approach to get that information. But I mean,
okay, I'll come up with a different approach then. Interesting. I'm going to go find a tavern. Maybe I can find someone to act as my guide to get there. So I'll leave the church and head back out into the streets looking for a tavern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure enough, there's a tavern called the Bumbling Monks.
How perfect.
And you step inside and I think have a seat at the bar. And sure enough, there's a bottle of liquor on the shelf, labeled the bubbling pools, and it's like it's a brown liquor in a clear Actually, it wouldn't be. They wouldn't have glass. It's like a ceramic jug. You can't even see the color of the liquor, but there's some ceramic jug labeled. Yeah.
Sure. I will take a survey of the room while I order beer.
Mm-hmm.
And look for. God, is there anyone that stands out as like an outdoorsman? Maybe somebody with like. How would you differentiate an outdoorsman from a peasant? I think they're probably visually distinct. You know, someone with slightly nicer, or not, slightly heavier duty clothes that doesn't look like they're poor and downtrodden their whole life. Someone that looks like they're, you know, well fed and somewhat moneyed, but not really, you know, rather than just like dirt poor. And if no one fits that description, I will ask the bartender where I can find a guide instead.
I think this is a rather common tavern. Yeah, you ask the bartender where you can find a guide. A guide to where? Are you looking for a?
I'm on a pilgrimage. I would like to head to the bubbling pools.
He nods and takes the jug of liquor off the shelf and thunks it down on the table in front of you. And just making small talk as he pours a glass of the brown liquor. I think when you take a pilgrimage, you're not supposed to. You're just supposed to sort of follow your feet, right? Slides the glass across the table. You don't necessarily need to be guided, right?
I slide
Doesn't
the glass
the Lord guide the way?
Back to him. I say, the Lord...
That'll be,
I don't want your bubbling pools liquor. I didn't ask for that drink. Don't charge me for it.
Oh, maybe I misunderstood, I thought.
I'm looking for the bubbling pools themselves, not the beverage called the bubbling pools. The actual springs that bubble where the Lady of Light touched down upon the earth. Am I misinformed? Is this not an actual holy site on the world? Was I lied to earlier? Because I am positive that the priest back in fucking shithole town was that. It wasn't Seagate, it was Westport, told me that the bubbling pools was a specific location on the same island that Brinton was on, to the north of Brinton, in fact. And now I'm finding that the bubbling pools are on a mountain in between the two channels, or it's a drink that you're passing me. What the fuck are these bubbling pools?
The barkeep nods knowingly. Says it's shoddy rumors like this that keep men like me in business. He shrugs and removes your drink that you unordered and puts the bottle back on the shelf, the jug back on the shelf.
So what are the bubbling pools then, sir? And I want answers, so I'm gonna take out a platinum piece and give it to him. I don't hand it to him, but I like set the platinum piece on the table and keep my finger on it heavily. What are the bubbling pools? Please give me all the information you have on it, and this piece of platinum is yours, good sir.
So the bubbling pools. I mean, you could probably get a whole bottle for a platinum, but the barkeep will tell you that the bubbling pools are it's a whiskey distillery up in the mountains. It makes some of the finest brown around, and I think for a platinum you can have the bottle if you like.
And these pools have no religious significance one way or the other.
Well, I think it's a couple old monks that run the place.
Where is the bubbling pool?
I told you, up in the mountains somewhere. I don't know. They send the shipments down by ox cart.
Okay, who's your distributor
Maybe
then?
it's a...
Who is it that brings you this fluid? And where can I find them? I'm getting to the bottom of this mystery one way or another, sir, if it costs me every last copper coin I've got.
So... A platinum will actually... I mean, he offers you the remnants, the jug with what remains. But when it becomes apparent that you really just wanted information.
I just want information, yeah.
Sure, a monk stops by with his cart once a month to drop off a shipment of bottles.
See, when was the last time this monk came round? Saw my finger on the platinum.
Couple weeks ago.
Do you have rooms?
You're really trying to get up to the bubbling pools?
Yes. I'm confused about many things, but I need to get to the bubbling pools to sort these details out.
Nods. You really sound like you just need a drink.
I start to withdraw the platinum piece as he refuses to answer my questions, slowly, so he realizes that that's my intent. Do you have rooms here that I can rest in until this distributor comes by?
Sure, we got a couple rooms upstairs.
Excellent.
They cost actual coins. And he looks down at the one that you got your finger on.
How much for a night if I were to book 2 weeks?
For 2 weeks, normally it's 5 silver a night.
Give me a
do
discount?
2 weeks for 5 gold.
Deal. I leave him with the platinum. I also shell out 5 gold pieces. I'm going to sit my butt down and wait for this monk and get to the bottom of this story.
Yeah. I said, and you see he was gonna, correct you or give you change, but he just, gives up and takes the platinum and the 5 gold you give him. I mean, you way overpaid and you don't even want your drinks, so...
Yeah.
He's happy to entertain.
Excellent.
So you prepay for 2 weeks at this nameless inn. Oh no, it was the stumbling monk.
Stumbling monk.
Stumbling monk. The wandering monk. I think the stumbling monk is an actual bar in Seattle.
Nice.
I think it was the wandering monk. I don't know.
Wandering monk then.
Wandering stumbling monk.
And I'm in.
And you are planning on waiting for 2 weeks until a monk stumbles in?
Yes. And if I haven't already made it clear, I will doubly make it clear to this gentleman that I want to speak to the monk the next time the monk comes round.
Yeah, it's known, and you paid a fair bit of coin, so you can imagine that it will probably happen.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 2 weeks in Brinton. What are we going to do with ourselves? What are you going to do with yourself? Do you have any plans for 2 weeks?
No, I got to Brinton way faster than I thought I was going to get here.
I didn't even think you were going to get here.
Yeah, and then things aren't... So, Leon's very confused. But he's going to get to the bottom of this. And really, in the meantime, he just kind of wants to keep his head low. God knows what the Goldsmiths Union's doing out here. So I think he's just going to take some R&R. He's got the money to just put up for a couple of weeks. So that's what he's going to do. I don't have... I don't have very much for him to do, and he's an antisocial sort of fellow to begin with. The only things that he's really looking for are these bubbling pools and sources of magic, and he's not about to get himself like hung in the streets for asking around about magic in the city in the capital of the country. So I think downtime for a couple of weeks, just chill, rest up on his HP.
Yeah, if you really do lie low, you can trade gold for, well, you can throw away golden time as long as you want, it seems. Well,
Okay.
at least 2 weeks of it.
I do so. Throw away 2 weeks of gold and time.
Okay, you're fully healed.
Okay.
No more bounty hunters come looking for you, at least in this time. Perhaps you've slipped off the radar, or I don't know. What do you want to fill us in with any like?
I think it's Leon kind of just becomes like the town drunk for a little while. I think he just hangs out in the bar and eats and drinks for a couple
How do you get
of
drunk
weeks.
if you keep turning down the drinks that the bartender thought you ordered?
Oh, I actually order drinks and then accept the ones that I actually order, rather than having people pour me drinks and then asking me to pay for things that I didn't order to begin with.
You find out quickly that it's probably not a common drink order, but if someone stumbles in and asks and says that they're on a pilgrimage to the Bubbling Pools, they get poured a glass of Bubbling Pools whiskey.
Yes, but this is all very counter to what Leon was expecting from his departure from Westport.
Fair enough.
So yeah, so he chills and drinks and becomes kind of a sloppy mess in the tavern for a little while.
Okay. Well, 2 weeks later, right on schedule. You're probably not drunk yet because it's actually no. I think you'd be deep in your cups late in the afternoon. So drunk Leon is hanging around the bar, probably. But you really have become the local drunk, huh?
I think so. Yeah.
You're at least the wandering drunk. And they give you your space. I think you're sloppy and disagreeable, and no one wants to hang out with you. Like it's, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's 6 charisma guy. He's
Yeah.
and he's like and he's a cripple, and he used to be like an enforcer and a bouncer and a murderer. He's just not a pleasant person to socialize with.
I don't think they know you were an enforcer, bouncer, murderer, but
They don't know that, but that's still who he is, and that still comes out in his behavior.
sure. So,
You can take the Leon out of the streets, but you can't take the streets out of Leon.
you can tell everyone you're Maldris, but
Yeah.
Leon's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So, late afternoon, sure enough, 2 weeks later, a monk comes in. He's large. Actually, he's not large at all, but the package that he's carrying is.
Okay.
He's of average height and scrawny, with a long hooked nose and balding head that makes it such that he does not have to shave the top. He's just already got the monk thing going.
He's got the friar top going without having to put any work into it.
And he's
Lucky
and he's
bastard.
carrying just a massive case of jugs of whiskey, and he comes.
Well, this catches Leon's eye for sure.
Yeah,
He stumbles over there. Are you the monk that brings the monk drink?
New delivery,
My name's Leon.
finest whiskey in the kingdom.
I've been
Actually,
sent.
monks probably don't brag about their whiskey, do they?
I don't know. I'm very
The humblest whiskey in all of the kingdom.
I was
he's-
sent by the pyre in Westport to visit the bubbling pools.
You can roll a charisma check if you want, but I think he totally ignores you, and he brings his delivery to the around the side of the bar.
I fail another charisma check.
Yeah, he slides past you and sort of like waddles with this large load.
Monk, I'm talking to you. The pirate
He
Westport.
sets down the big, the large package, and then turns to you.
The pirate
in
Westport.
Westport.
Yeah. He
Yes.
sent me on a journey to find the bubbling pools, the actual bubbling pools, not the drink.
Well, it sounds to me like you've had a little too much of the drink, and
No, I haven't had any of it. I'm waiting here. I've been waiting for weeks here for you to show up, so you could take me to the bubbling pools.
why would you like to?
Cause that's where the Lady of Fire first touched the ground, man. It's a holy site, and I'm really confused. Take me to the bubbling pools, says Drunk Leon.
What's that? I think that maybe there's a construction going on, so pardon the random noises.
Can't even
I don't
hear
know if
it.
I'll continue. Okay, good.
Bubbling pools, man. You gotta
Nearly
take
shut
me
the
to the
window.
bubbling pools. Bubbling pools, take me there.
I don't know that this approach is going to work for you. I think you'd grovel and drool at the monk's feet, and he
Nope, I'm gonna pull out a fucking platinum coin and be like, I'm willing to make a donation to the church if you can take me to the bubbling pools. It's important.
Nice.
It's for the pyre back in Westport. He made me a torchbearer. He patched
All
up
right.
my broken arm.
He takes your left hand and closes it around the platinum piece, so that you're still holding it. And he like picks you up and he says, "All right, wanderer. Let us return to the bubbling pools, that you may make your donation."
Thank you. And then I'll just follow
First
him
I've got
around
a-
like a duckling
fir-
for the
yeah,
rest
first-
of the day.
First, I've got a couple more deliveries to make.
That's fine. I like making deliveries. Let me come with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I will not let him out of my sight. I will like duck follow him the rest
Yeah,
of the
you
day.
proceed to follow him around. You look like a monk, so you fit in well enough. You follow him around for the rest of the day, as he makes deliveries to a couple of other taverns throughout town.
Ah,
As the sun sets, he pauses. Roll. What's
so Leon's probably sobered up by now and is just like tired and hungover.
Yeah, and cranky. And there's been, I mean, you've made like a half dozen stops, and they all
Yeah.
take a while. And he like knows everyone at the bars, so they chit chat.
Mm-hmm.
You realize you totally forgot to ask for his name. Roll a wisdom check. Actually, a religion check, but it's just your wisdom score.
21, just to pass.
Okay. As night falls, he looks to you like wondering if you'll know if it's. I mean, it's probably your duty to light the torch that when night comes.
Sure, I can do this with one hand.
Yeah. So at some point you light the torch and you continue a little past night, and then eventually you come to the last tavern that you drop off at. It seems like you're just going to hang out there until morning, and then hit the road.
Okay.
So the monk sits back. The cart is now empty, and the donkey is stabled at this inn.
Excellent.
And the monk takes the very last bottle, the very last jug, for himself, and sits down alone at a table in this last tavern.
I join him at
And
the table,
drinks.
and I order food and food and water, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Boiled water. So tea, maybe food and tea.
He leans back and drinks straight from the jug. And offers like to pour some into your cup.
I refuse any.
Okay.
I...
Leon's sobering up in the company of this monk.
Who's drinking. We're changing positions here.
So, what do you think you'll find at this at the bubbling pools?
Answers to questions. To be honest, I thought I would have more questions by the time I got here.
He nods, looks at his jug. Well, not sure what the question is, but I think the answer's down there. And he swirls the jug.
So, do you make your whiskey from the water from the bubbling pools where the Lady of Light first stepped foot on the earth?
No. But the hot water does help speed things along.
But it is, in fact, the place where the Lady of Light first stepped foot on the earth, right?
Sure, of course. Yeah, that's what makes the fire water so exquisite. It's the holiness. It's.
Are you telling me I've been scammed by the priest who sent me on this pilgrimage?
Scammed? No, my.
I'm gonna go bathe in those pools and immolate myself in those pools in order for the Lord of Light to bring back my broken arm.
Hot springs are rather nice. Just don't drink too much while you're in them.
I'm not.
We had a brother a couple of years back, passed out in one of the hot springs. He was nasty and bloated when we found him in the morning.
Dead? Wow. That priest had better not been lying to me about this lore. Converted to this religion for this man. Grumble.
Can't say that I know the pyre in Westport.
I give a physical description of the pyre. Not, it might not help, it might, but, to be conversational, I describe him. And,
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to ask
Nope.
hook-nosed monk?
No, I'll just head up with him the next however long it takes to get there, and make my sacrifice to the Lord of Light, asking him to repair my arm, and we'll see how it goes.
How's it going for you so far?
Shitty. It's not going well. There's been
You mean like 5th level spells don't just fall from the sky? You just get to throw platinum around and clamor for them, and
Well,
until,
I mean, I've got
healed.
plans. I think self-immolation in the bubbling pools is the way to go to get the Lord of Light's attention and to get him to fix my arm, right? All that, like phoenix rising from the ashes and the fire that heals. You go to the sacred spot and self-burn. Maybe the Lord of Light will smile upon it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out.
Dawn breaks in Brinton. You and the monk just basically slept in the tavern, in the common room. It appears he has some arrangement with the owner. He lets you guys stay there. And when dawn breaks, he bards up his donkey, and you two head out.
Right. Do this. We can make it there.
Yesterday, when the cart was full of fire water, he sat in the back with it, or he didn't sit in the back. but now he can sit in the back of the cart. You still have to walk alongside it. And the donkey tows...
Wait, he sits in the back of the cart while the donkey pulls it?
Yeah, he sits in the cart while the donkey pulls it.
Okay.
When it was fully loaded with the whiskey shipment, he couldn't.
Okay.
But now that he's got nothing but empty bottles, empty jugs,
Did the empty jugs take up less space than the full jugs?
they're lighter.
I see. Okay. I will walk alongside the cart then. It's fine if the monk doesn't want me to sit in it.
Yeah. You leave... Yeah. Hey, your cart. You leave through a different gate than you went in. You're actually not sure which direction you're headed.
Okay.
And you follow a road out of Brinton. The monk smiles, nods, and waves at people as he passes. And you make your way. The road, after some turns, becomes a small trail. And it hooks sort of down a hill and towards water. But the monk knows a crossing where the water is very shallow. He gets out at this point, but he's able to leave donkey and cart across some stones. And you wade only up to your ankles across the canal at this point.
Okay.
And then sort of up, the hills and mountains on the other side.
Excellent. Leon is sober, is fed, has his dagger still in his satchel with his 4 days of rations left. I might have to chew through a day of rations on this trip, I suppose. Mark that off now.
So you follow this small wagon trail up the backside of the mountain. When you reach the top, you get a breeze sort of up in your face, bringing the acrid smell of bogs, salty bogs to your nose. It takes most of the day that you sort of crest the backside of these mountains. And follow this small sort of one-lane trail until you see, sort of peeking up the tops, over the tops of some trees, the black dome of a monastery.
Ooh. Okay.
Beneath Black Dome is a white tower and monastery below, along the side of a large lake pool, if you will. And this monastery is where you go. You take the cart to the monastery, and
as soon as we get there, I ask my monkish friend which way to the pools. Unless is it that lake? Is it a different set of pools? Where are the pools?
You can feel hot steam sort of rising off of the lake.
Ah.
And he says, this blessed site is where the Lord of Light, the Lord of Flame, first presented himself.
Actually, I believe it was the Lady of Light who first presented herself here on the mortal plane.
No, I'm afraid you have it backwards, brother.
No, I'm quite certain because I've had this discussion with a few other people, and it was the Lady of Light who stepped here.
'Twas the Lord of Flame that came to this spot and first ignited and first brought the sparks that brought flame to this mortal land.
Thank you. I will hop off the cart
And
with my bag of stuff.
You must see the chapel. I hear
Fuck you, stupid monk. All you people over here.
Excuse me?
Piss me off to no end. I'm gonna go bathe in the pool. Leon grumpily gets off the wagon. And
You can't go. The bathing pools are down that way, and he like points off to the.
I ignore him and head for the big pool. Big one.
All right, so you can see there's like a small I don't know, like a dock, a platform over the lake from the monastery. Otherwise, you can like go like careening down some rocks into the steaming lake.
It's a nice like steep embankment all the way around.
Yeah, at least from this side. You're only on one side of the lake. You like popped up the trail.
Sure. How
Lake
deep
adjacent.
how steep is the cliff, or how tall is the embankment around the lake?
Maybe 15 feet and at an angle.
Sure. I will start circumnavigating the lake, looking for a shallower spot. You know, it doesn't have to be full on.
You
beach,
climb
but-
down the rocks, and the monk is like on the trail, whatever, 15 feet above you, like
No,
going down.
from the top of the trail. I don't want to like walk down in the lake. I want to walk around the lake. No?
So the trail continues on to the monastery, which is just a couple hundred feet in front of you. And then there's like an embankment down into this steaming lake.
Okay, so I want to not go down the embankment, but walk around the embankment. Like, I don't want to descend into the lake until I found an easier point of egress and entrance and egress.
Okay.
Ingress and egress? Yeah, ingress and egress.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just circle the lake. How big is the lake?
It's only a couple hundred feet across.
Perfect.
You can sort of stumble around the rocks and the vegetation around the outside of the lake. Immediately lake adjacent, there's nothing growing. But once so there's like 20 feet, 30 feet of barren rock.
Is it nothing
acrid
growing because
smells.
like it's rock and nothing grows on rock, or is it like rock and dirt but there's nothing growing from the dirt?
It's mostly rock.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're not exactly sure, but
Okay,
yeah.
so it just looks like plants won't grow here because there's no soil for them to grow, and not like it's a nice dirty area, but for some reason no plants grow closer than this amount of space.
Sure. Yeah. So you like wander off trail away. You can hear the monk. I don't know, whatever. He shouted at you a few times to turn back, and then eventually gave up on you and continued on to the monastery.
Yeah. I found the point where the Lady of Light first touched the earth. So I'll circle around looking for that nice, easier. Slightly easier.
you can stumble down the embankment. It's like 20 feet of rocks between you and the river, or you and the lake, and there's actually nowhere easier to get down.
Okay.
Like you wander around for a couple hundred feet around the side, and you eventually come to a cliff that's even steeper than the embankment.
Then I'll just head back and go down that 15-foot embankment. Yeah. It's just
Okay.
one-handed Leon. If things go sour, I want to find a spot where it would be easier for him to get out. If he's got to like make a climbing check and he's only got one arm, I'm thinking about the future.
You wouldn't have to make a climbing check, but it is like slows your movement.
Yeah.
Speaking of sour, it does smell acrid, and it steams as you sort of descend these large stones to the side of the lake.
It's definitely.
What
a place
exactly
of
are you
fire.
planning?
Well, I'm gonna go first test the temperature of the lake. I was really expecting more difficulty getting here, like longer journey getting here.
It was about a day up the mountain.
Yeah, I mean
You're not sure if
from
you would've-
Westport to here. I thought it was going to be. Someone at some point said Brinton was a week away, and then I was in Brinton like 2 days after that conversation. So I'm.
You took a ferry for 3 nights. You walked over land.
But it was in Ashlock that someone said it was a week away, and then it was like 2 days from Ashlock to Brinton. So
You powered through 2 nights, I think. So I think if you had taken a reasonable pace and camped along the side of the road, it would have been, I don't know. So you did it in 1 hard day of traveling, and then you rested for a couple of days. I mean, it took you a couple of weeks. I think their estimation was actually pretty accurate.
Okay.
Right? Including all of your diversions. I don't know. I don't remember who you asked. You seem to be taking these rumors way too seriously.
Yeah. Well,
You
maybe.
trust every NPC implicitly.
Maybe that is Leon's downfall. Maybe that's the part of that low charisma, is that he just trusts that everyone is always telling the truth unless there's a reason for them to lie. But yeah, so I will try and make my way down the cliffside towards this water and test it, kind of feel the water. How hot is it?
It is steaming, so it is near boiling.
I mean, hot springs, like a hot tub will steam, even though it's nowhere near boiling, you know? So I will, poke a finger in real quick, see what it's like.
Okay, roll a saving throw versus breath weapon.
Okay, so these are hot springs, apparently. Ooh, okay. Saving throw versus breath weapon is a 15 or higher. No dice.
Yeah, so you take 1 point of damage. It was just a finger. But this water is scalding hot. Not quite boiling, but close.
Okay. So this is where Leon is going to sort of make a camp. I mean, not really. I don't have a lot of stuff, but I'm going to, on these rocks at the base here.
You're like a couple hundred feet away from the monastery.
Yeah, fuck that monastery. I'm not going there right now.
All right.
This is where Leon will fall into prayer to the Lord of Light. I don't think there's a name for him other than Lord of Light, Lord of Flame, Lady of Light. I think I spent 4 months in that place and he didn't have another name. And
the Lord is known by many names in many lands.
Yeah. I will make myself a series of prayers to him.
Do you know how to pray?
Yeah.
How do you pray?
Leon is on his knees on these rocks that are digging into his skin, into his shins and knees and feet, causing him some small amount of discomfort and pain. Close his eyes with his lit torch, like nestled in between some rocks right next to him, and the bubbling pools on the other side. So you got the flame and the pools, and he's right in between them. And I think he'll start with some basic, chants that you would have at the temple. When prayer comes, there's probably some hymns or some songs that go with it. So he'll do a song or two about the greatness of the Lord of Light, and then...
Well, normally singing is charisma based, but you can roll a religion check if you'd like to recall some of these rituals.
Yeah.
Or you can just make up your own thing. It's not like this has any purpose. It's not like... Well, there are monks probably watching you across the lake.
So,
judging
25
you.
To recall any songs that I've learned.
Sure, you're able to recall some hymn.
Yeah, so I'll sing 2 hymns, and then kind of in silent prayer to the Lord of Light.
Lord of Flame.
Lord of Flame, Lady of Light. I will say, I will tell him that I have heard of the cleansing flame. I know the power that fire has to destroy and create and heal. And I am here to be your ever faithful servant. If I would happily devote my life to you and your cause, the cause of all true people. If you can show me your power and compassion through the restoration of my shattered shoulder. And then I'll sing another couple of prayers or hymns and plead again with the Lord of Light to that I will be the holy fighter for his just cause. And then kind of at the end of this, maybe half an hour of prayers and hymns and requests, I will slowly, I'll take my arm out of my sleeve and just kind of dip it into the scalding water and just like dip it all the way up to the shoulder, intentionally burning myself, hoping that it will.
I don't think you can feel anything in that arm anymore. Roll. Okay, so you give the speech. Next to you, a sulfurous pool bubbles, but I think you like lean over towards the main lake and dip in your paralyzed arm. Roll another save versus breath weapon.
I'm sorry, that should have just been. It doesn't matter. It's still a fail. Yeah. Should have just been a d20.
What HP are you at?
9 out of 10.
Okay. I think you dip your paralyzed arm that you can't feel, and you've already lost the HP from it anyways. But I think you sort of slip and get some of your shoulder in as well. You take a scalding 6 points of damage as you flop your way back out of the lake, panting, barely saving your life. And you lay flat on a rock, and you can like smell it smells like boiled chicken or something of your paralyzed arm cooking.
Leon kind of dabs it, doesn't really feel anything from it, so shrugs and cleans off the rest of him that might have gotten burned or boiled. And Neal's back down on the rocks, once again digging into his shins, and closes his eyes and starts the prayers over again with the, Lord of Flames, hear my prayers. I will be your ever faithful servant if you can.
Are you speaking this out loud?
I think he starts saying it with his eyes closed in his head, and it probably slowly becomes vocalized without even realizing it. And it goes with the Lord of Flames, hear my prayer. I will be your ever faithful servant if you will, like a phoenix from the ashes, restore my arm as I dip it into the water. And then once again, kind of like toss the arm off to the side and like dip it in.
I think before you do that, before you get through your prayers the second time, you are interrupted by a voice over your shoulder. Pilgrim, what are you doing out here? And you look to see the monk. Do you turn, or do you ignore the voice of the monk?
I'll take a look.
Yeah, you see the monk who you came up with now without donkey or cart, sort of stumbling down the first couple of rocks towards you. Come inside.
No, I have prayers to get to. Devout prayers. The Lord of Light will heal my arm. I just need to make it clear I'm willing to do his bidding for all time. And then
He looks to you with pity.
And Leon will kind of just close his eyes and go back to his chanting.
Yeah, roll another saving throw versus breath weapon.
15 or higher. There we go.
Okay, so you successfully submerged your crippled arm without burning the rest of you. What are you doing? Clamors the monk as you intentionally boil your paralyzed arm alive. This does no good.
Fire is cleansing. The Lord of Flame has created this holy site. This is the cleansing waters that will heal my injured arm.
He pants exactly. Lady of Light, what is...
I start my prayers over again.
So you can continue to dip your arm in at your leisure. The monk, exasperated, returns to the monastery.
Yes. I will, I don't know how long he'll do this for. I don't know how late it is in the day.
I think night has fallen by this point.
Okay. So he'll dip his arm.
Torches have been lit at the monastery, And you presume that you have missed the sunset ceremony.
It's fine. I boil my arm a few times more, and then just, like, get up and scramble up the cliff. And maybe move just far enough away that the air isn't so acrid that, you know, I can breathe easily, and set up camp right there outside of the monastery.
Just like on the road?
Just, well, not like physically on the road, but like on the road, like, you know, a few feet off of it. And make my camp for the night. Because when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to go back and do the same thing.
Later that night, 2 monks come out. The one from before and a portly gentleman. It looks like he does have to shave his head. The pair of them approach and beckon you to come inside.
I will accept their invitation.
Okay. They lead you into the monastery. This is not constructed as most of the cathedrals have been. It's I think at this hour they will just like take you in and offer you a bed.
It's fine. I think Leon's exhausted from burning his arm all day.
Yeah, and they'll probably tend to your arm, I guess. But yeah, they get you in, they get you fed and bedded. And I think this is where we'll wrap up the episode for this week.
Okay.
We'll pick up next week at the bubbling monastery.
Yes.
See if Leon's prayers have been answered.
Well, if they're not, I have a plan B, which is
Murder
actually
everyone?
to just set myself on fire.
You know, you don't need to. You can just kill yourself if you want to. You don't need to roleplay all this out.
I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm not trying to end Leon's life. I'm trying to.
You came pretty close.
To resolve his injury in a dramatic and holy fashion to give him new purpose in life. That's the goal. We'll see if it works or not. There's also a plan C if that fails, and you know, a plan D if that fails. There's a lot to go, but for a moment here, Leon's going to. I mean, this church is like the first thing that's actually given him a sense of purpose, other than like beat people up so that we can get our money. So he's all in, right? He's like the person who discovers religion for the first time, and it helps him through a problem, so he becomes like overly fanatical about it. But that fanaticism is dangerous because, you know, it's based entirely on amounts of faith that are unhealthy. So if his faith gets his newly found and zealot-like faith gets damaged or shattered, it could have unpleasant ramifications for him and those around him, especially when you're a pugilist wizard. So, let's see.
So, experience. The bounty hunters. That was 20 plus 15 times. Let's see what that is. 525 combat experience.
525?
Yeah. Plus spell experience.
That was just the one Fist of Stone.
And a Shocking Grasp.
Oh, and Shocking Grasp, yeah.
So 2 spell levels.
100 experience for the spells.
What else have you done? You found Brinton. You found the monastery. Let's give you 200 experience there. Anything else happen this week?
Brinton, monastery. I returned the sword hilt.
You did. Take 150 XP for that.
Yeah. We did the bandits. We did everything else. I was defeated by a shambling mound, or defeated a shambling mound.
And I think
or
you
it
were.
didn't happen, and it was just a dream.
Yeah, I think you lost your mind in the bog for a little while.
Okay. All right.
About swamp gas.
Okay.
You know,
So
no experience there.
975 times.
That's rolled in with the discovery experience.
Right. That's it, right? Just the 975.
I think so, unless I missed something.
No, unless you want to do role playing experience or something, but that's fine.
Your role playing was awful this session.
My role playing was awful this session.
My role playing was worse. Colorless NPCs, shambling mounds that don't even shamble properly. So what XP are we at?
That brings me to 8,172 out of the 10,000 needed.
So you're less than 2K away?
Yeah, that'll be 2 or 3 sessions, I think, unless there's some epic something that happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Well then, that is it for Dicing with Death. We will tentatively schedule another episode for next week.
I don't. Thursdays won't work for me. I don't. Just keep your eyes peeled if you watch. If you, I don't know. It'll show up on Twitter or probably Discord when we schedule another episode.
Okay.
Coming soon. But until then, you got plenty of stuff to watch, right? If you haven't been watching Fro, catch up on YouTube. We've got a couple full episodes.
Frozen Frontier has been going on. It's been
and
great. Fatal 1 is coming up this Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Graveyard is coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Fatal 1. Do you have a group scheduled for this week?
Yes, we do.
Nice.
Our first group, let me take a look at their things, is a 3rd level fighter, 3rd level warlock, I want to say an orc barbarian. Hold on, I can pull up the character sheets right now. We are a warlock, a multi-classed fighter warlock, 3/3, a cleric of life, and a monk. Which will be interesting. Yeah, it's a half-orc monk and a green dragonborn warlock and a human fighter warlock and a hill dwarf cleric of light.
Healbot.
Yeah.
Oh, light is actually not the Healbot one, huh?
Life, I'm sorry.
Life. Yeah. Should be fun. Should be fun.
Should get ripped to shreds. It'll be nice to test out some of these dungeon ideas and see how the whole thing flows. And it's a big map. We'll see how other people's computers handle.
Is it all on one?
It's one giant map.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Awesome. I think that is it. Thanks for watching, everybody.
And if you stick around in about half an hour or something, we're going to be doing some, I think, Heroes Graveyard planning. I don't know if it'll be public or if it'll be hidden while we watch old movies, but it'll be something like that coming up soon. That's that, and we'll see you sometime in the near future.
Bye-bye.